When you make God your priority, miracles manifest in 12 days. In the heart of Ashford-on-the-Hill, life was often mundane, yet infused with a quaint charm only a village could hold. But for Sarah, a devoted mother with a faith as untouchable as the sky, a storm was brewing. Her youngest, Thomas, a bright-eyed 5-year-old, was diagnosed with a terminal illness, shattering her world and threatening the very foundation of her faith. Despair hung over her like a dark cloud, oppressive and cold. Yet it was amidst this darkness that the flickering light of hope began to shimmer. With a heavy heart, Sarah returned to St. Michael's Church, where the air hummed with prayer. Reverend Bennett's voice rang out, speaking of miracles, of the power and love of a committed heart. He urged the villagers to place God first, igniting a spark within Sarah. She rushed home, buoyed by a sudden resolve, gathering her children around their flickering candles each night for heartfelt prayers to St. Jude, the saint of hopeless causes. "Please, St. Jude, hear our cries." Their voices mingled in the dimly lit room, a chorus of innocence that seemed to rise to the heavens. Every prayer felt alive and vibrant. The first miracle occurred on the second night. The wind rustled the trees outside, carrying the scent of lilacs and freshly cut grass into their home, as if nature itself was responding. It sent shivers down her spine, a gentle reminder that they were not alone. As fervent prayers filled the air, Sarah felt warmth envelop her, filling the room with a palpable divine presence. But not everyone shared her hope. Family members questioned her intense prayers, urging her to face the reality of their situation. "You need to prepare yourself, Sarah," they would say. Each word was a chip at her faith, like stones cast into a pond. Still, she persevered. Every night, the candles flickered against the encroaching shadows, as skeletal anxieties tried to creep in. Very soon, word spread through the village. People began to rally around her family. Fellow parishioners joined every candle prayer, swelling their numbers and prayers into a holy ocean of hope. On the 6th night, during a massive gathering at the church, Reverend Bennett spoke again. "Healing awaits those who wholly commit to God," he proclaimed, his words crackling with spiritual electricity. The air thickened with expectation, reverberating through her very soul. Yet inside, a war raged. What if it didn't work for her? What if she was left holding on to nothing? In the silence of her room that night, she questioned everything. But her children, with their trusting smiles and innocence, ignited a fierce determination. The warmth of the candlelight was a reminder of hope, compelling her to rise each day renewed and fighting. On the 12th night, despair tethered to hope reached its breaking point. The weight of her burdens pressed on her chest when a call from the hospital shattered that darkness. As the words poured out, her heart surged. Could it be true? The air thickened with wonder. The village held its breath, drawn into this sacred moment. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With tears spilling like life-giving rain, hope bloomed anew. Yet Sarah couldn't help but wonder, was this the miracle they had prayed for, or merely a fork in an uncertain path? As she gathered her children, the air crackled with anticipation, a divine question lingering in the hearts of all. What lay ahead? The following morning dawned with a lightness that felt almost surreal. Sarah stood by the window, the sun's golden rays reaching through the glass and illuminating her home like a divine spotlight. Her heart raced with the possibility that hung in the air. Was this the beginning of a miracle? As she watched her children play in the garden, laughter bursting forth like sweet music, she pondered the chain of events leading them to this moment. A feeling of warmth enveloped her heart, pushing back the shadows that had crept in during the long, lonely nights. This warmth was different. It felt like divine assurance. She turned back to the kitchen, where the aroma of fresh bread baked by her neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, wafted in. It was more than just a simple gesture. It was a tangible representation of the love and solidarity binding the village together, stretching far beyond her own household. As Sarah prepared to make breakfast, the telephone rang, shattering the tranquil moment. She hesitated before answering, her heart thumping louder than before. The voice on the other end belonged to Dr. Hamilton, the physician overseeing Thomas's case. "Sarah," he began, and her breath caught in her throat. "I have news regarding Thomas's condition." She felt an electric charge coursing through her, an intricate dance of hope and fear. Would this call be the breakthrough she had prayed for? As the doctor continued, words tumbled over one another, a mixture of technical details and clinical jargon that blurred into a symphony of uncertainty. It was only when he said, "We need to discuss the results of the latest tests," that the world around her faded to silence. "Results?" Her voice felt distant. "What do they say?" "Miraculously, his condition has stabilized. We will need to monitor him closely, but there are signs of improvement." There was a moment of stillness, a pause filled with the weight of unspoken hopes. The doctor's words washed over her, igniting a fire she thought. I don't understand," Sarah stammered, tears brimming in her eyes. "How can this be?" "It's unusual," he admitted, "but we can only attribute it to what you've been doing. His spirit, his resolve. It seems your prayers have had a positive effect." She nearly dropped the phone. The warmth within her transitioned into an overwhelming sense of gratitude. It was as if the heavens had opened, granting her a glimpse of divine grace flooding her heart. She clutched the phone tightly, preparing to share the news with her children. In an instant, she was scattered through the house, calling out to them, "Thomas! Emma! Come quickly!" What utility could words hold against the joyous beating of her heart? They gathered in the kitchen, confusion on their faces turned to disbelief as she recounted the doctor's words. Are we going to be okay, Mama?" Thomas asked, his wide eyes glistening with innocent concern. "Yes!" she cried, kneeling to their level, the sunlight spilling around them as tears of joy spilled down her cheeks. "God is working miracles in you, all of us. Our prayers are being answered." In that moment, their embraces spoke louder than words. The love shared in that kitchen was pure, echoing the sentiments of a village united in faith, enveloping them in a sacred embrace of hope. But as Sarah held her children close, she could still hear the murmurings of doubt from those surrounding her. Questions lingered in the back of her mind. What would this miracle cost? What if the challenges were just beginning? Her resolve shifted, intertwining with fear, as she prayed for strength to acknowledge whatever would happen next. As she and her children stepped outside to greet the village, echoes of laughter and shouts of encouragement surrounded them, each voice a thread in the tapestry of their shared faith. The sun bathed them in warmth as they left the house, drawing closer together as a family. But Sarah's heart beat with trepidation. How long would this miracle last? What more was God preparing for them? Little did she know, the journey ahead would unveil even greater revelations, divine moments that would bind their faith deeper than ever before. What awaited them around the corner on this path of hope? As shadows and light danced playfully in the village square, a new chapter was unfolding, and with it came a question that lingered in the silence. Was this just the beginning of something even more astounding? As the sun climbed higher, brightening the village square, Sarah felt a stirring in her spirit. She took a deep breath, absorbing the laughter and chatter around her. Neighbors greeted her with smiles, their eyes sparkling with a shared sense of hope. Yet, amid the joy, she could sense a current of unasked questions. It slithered through the communal atmosphere like a whisper. What would the future hold? Holding Thomas and Emma's hands tightly, Sarah guided them toward the heart of the village, where a makeshift gathering had sprung up. The townsfolk had organized a spontaneous celebration, their hearts buoyed by the news of Thomas's improvement. This warmth wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. What a powerful reminder of the strength that arises when a community aligns in faith. As they approached the crowd, she saw Mrs. Thompson, arms raised in jubilant praise. "Can you believe it?" she exclaimed. "God is answering our prayers." "Indeed he is," came the chorus of voices, each echoing another's enthusiasm. Sarah's heart swelled. Their prayers were like seeds, taking root in the rich soil of belief, beginning to sprout. Yet, as she soaked in the jubilant atmosphere, Sarah couldn't shake the nagging question lurking just beneath her joy. Would the moment last? Was there more to come? Life had taught her that miracles could be fleeting, often accompanied by tests of faith. A gentle voice broke through her thoughts. Elder John, respected for his wisdom, stood before them, his presence emanating peace. "Let us gather, dear friends, and strengthen our bond through prayer." The crowd moved closer, forming a circle. The air filled with anticipation as hands joined in an intermingled tapestry of unity. As Elder John began to pray, Sarah felt a wave of peace wash over her. Each word he spoke seemed to resonate with the core of her being. He prayed for healing, for strength, and for continued miracles that would uplift their spirits. His plea rose into the heavens, a beacon of hope. In that moment, Sarah closed her eyes, letting the warmth of their communal faith envelop her. She imagined each family in the circle, their joys and struggles laid bare before God. Like a vibrant mosaic, each piece cherished, each story woven into God's larger plan. Yet another thought pierced through her reverie. What if the future held more trials? Sarah mouthed a silent prayer, asking for strength to navigate whatever came next. With her hands clasped tightly, she felt small tremors of fear, but they transformed into embers of courage with each whispered amen around her. After the prayer, a wave of tranquility swept through the group. Sarah opened her eyes, seeing her neighbors radiate light with their uplifting spirits. They were no longer just a collection of faces. They became a community woven together by faith, each heart beating in rhythm of hope. Suddenly, a young girl rushed through the crowd, breathless. "The doctor! He's at the clinic! He has news for Thomas!" A hush fell over the gathering, and Sarah's heart raced anew. Hope and fear danced wildly within her. With urgency, a crowd surged forward, pulling her and her children along as they set toward the clinic. Every step felt heavy yet uplifting, like they were walking on holy ground, forged by prayers and shared belief. What would the doctor say? Would the hope of miracles keep unfolding, or were they on the precipice of another test? Would God reveal yet another layer of His divine plan for their family, deepening their faith? As they approached the clinic, the air thickened with divine possibility, and Sarah could feel the heartbeat of their journey thrumming in her chest. The answers lay just ahead. What awaited them would challenge everything they believed. Rushing through the clinic doors, Sarah felt the air crackle with anticipation. The wall of white seemed to hum with possibilities. It was a sacred space in that moment, a hub of hope filled with prayers, longings, and a quiet reverence. The smell of antiseptic mingled with the earthy aroma of resilience. She squeezed her children's hands tighter, her heart racing with the uncertainty that lingered before each revelation. In the waiting area, families flickered in and out of focus, their faces a mix of anxiety and resolve. Glances exchanged among them carried unspoken bonds, a shared understanding of love and the fragility of life. Sarah's spirit soared and sank at once. They were all connected under the same fervent plea for healing. Then, a familiar figure emerged from the corridor. The doctor, his expression inscrutable. She felt a collective breath being held as he approached. "Thank you for your patience," he began, his voice steady yet tinged with something deeper. The room quieted, each ear caringly tuned to hear the words climbing towards hope. As he spoke of Thomas's progress, Sarah felt her pulse quicken and the weight of the moment unfurl. "The treatment is showing promising results," the doctor said, gesturing towards the charts in his hand. "He's responding positively, and with prayer and continued care, we believe he can make a full recovery." A gasp rippled through the room, a wave of joy washing over them. Tears glistened in many eyes, including Sarah's, as she felt warmth surge through her. This was not just a diagnosis, it was a testimony of faith translated into miracles. It was God answering the chorus of prayers that had risen like incense to the heavens. "Praise be to God," came a voice from the back, and soon that praise echoed, building into a symphony of gratitude. Sarah let out a sobbing laugh, the joy narrowing into laser focus. She looked down at Thomas and Emma, who were both staring up at her, eyes wide with understanding, a divine moment unfolding. With the children's hands still clasped in hers, she turned her gaze toward the doctor. "What can we do? How can we help Thomas through this?" The urgency in her voice was both a plea and a commitment to be part of the miracle. "Continue with the prayers and the support of your community," he advised gently. "You're already doing well. Your love and faith are powerful. Never underestimate the force of belief. It can heal." As she absorbed his words, the gravity of responsibility settled in her heart. There was more to this than just miraculously healing Thomas. Each day forward would require patience, strength, and a steadfast focus on their shared faith. As the celebration resumed, a vibrant energy filled the space. More than just relief, it was hope reinvigorated, alive and radiant. Happiness bubbled up as families embraced, praising and weaving their stories of faith back into the fabric of one another's lives. But even as joy danced within her, the flicker of doubt returned. Had they truly passed through this trial unscathed? Or would challenges arise anew, casting shadows over their presence? A thought lingered. Was there more at play than they could imagine? Suddenly, a woman approached them, her face glowing, holding a paper in her hands. "I've seen this before," she whispered with urgency. "It was the same for my child. But you see, this is just the beginning." Sarah's heart raced again. The pounding rhythm of fate now echoed louder, almost intertwined with the promises of tomorrow. What more was God planning? The air shimmered with expectancy. In witnessing one miracle, had they inadvertently opened the doors to many more? With every heartbeat, new questions danced into existence, spinning threads of divine mystery. What revelations awaited them next? The woman's words hung in the air, heavy with portent and possibility. Sarah's heart raced, not just from joy, but from a growing sense of urgency. This revelation, shrouded in both caution and hope, set the tone for what lay ahead. She could feel the sacred energy humming around her, as if heaven itself were bending lower to listen. "Just the beginning," she whispered, almost to herself. She looked at her children, their innocent faces a reflection of faith untainted by the world. They deserved every ounce of hope she could muster, a beacon shining against the shadows of uncertainty. "Could you tell me more?" Sarah urged, her voice steady yet filled with longing. The woman smiled, her eyes glinting with a deep understanding. "This journey, dear, is often about more than just healing. It's about transformation. When we invite God fully into our story, we open ourselves to the extraordinary." She waved the paper gently. "I thought it all ended, but it was merely a new beginning for us. The stitches of grace were woven through the unexpected." Each word was a stepping stone into a vast wilderness of faith. Sarah could see the struggle within those simple phrases, a reminder that while the sun may shine, the clouds could still gather. A surge of determination washed over her. She desired not just for Thomas to heal, but for the entire family to embrace the journey ahead. "Gather your thoughts, your prayers," the woman continued, "as a community of believers. Share your burdens, lend your strength to one another." A ripple of understanding wove through Sarah's heart. For too long they had walked this journey almost solitary, letting fear cloud the power of their faith. She felt the call to gather, all the families that shared their trials and triumphs. Together they would raise their voices, mingling their prayers into a sacrifice of gratitude, unyielding in unity. "Let's go home," Sarah whispered, gripping her children's hands a little tighter. "We need to prepare." As they exited the clinic, the world outside felt charged, alive with the promise of something greater. The streets were washed in the golden hues of the setting sun, casting a warm glow on the canvas of life. But within her, shadows still lingered. What if they faltered? What if the unexpected turmoil they pushed against began to fracture their newfound hope? "Mommy, what's wrong?" Emma asked, her small voice cutting through Sarah's thoughts. A wave of love enveloped Sarah like a warming blanket. "Nothing, sweetheart. Just thinking about all the wonderful things God is doing." She leaned down, meeting Emma's gaze. "Do you feel how wonderful it is to be loved?" "Yes," Emma beamed, her excitement infectious. The beauty of childlike faith settled in Sarah's heart again. When did she forget? The little ones had a way of showing just how powerful trust in God could be. She inhaled deeply, filling her lungs with this sacred moment, this chance to believe profoundly. As they arrived home, Sarah urged Thomas and Emma to gather their own thoughts and prayers. She lit a candle, its flickering flame seemingly dancing to the rhythm of their shared faith. The warmth of the light filled the room as they began to voice their hopes, knitting their spirits closer together. Boxed-in fears began to crack. Each whispered prayer became a thread woven together with an unspoken commitment to trust. But mingled with that resolve was a knife-edged concern. When would the test come? How would they handle what might still lie ahead? An unexpected knock resonated through the stillness, breaking the tender moment. Sarah exchanged glances with her children, a ripple of intrigue sparking through the air. Who could be at the door? What additional intertwining of stories awaited them just beyond the threshold? With a heart aligned to God's will, Sarah opened the door, ready for whatever challenge or blessing awaited her. What revelation might shift their journey once more? As the door creaked open, Sarah's breath caught for a moment. Standing before her was an elderly man, his weathered face lined with years of wisdom. His bright blue eyes twinkled beneath a bushy white brow, holding an invitation to something more profound. He carried a small wicker basket filled with loaves of bread and fresh fruit. An old tricycle sat at his feet, its colors faded but still charming, perhaps meant for the neighborhood children. "Good evening, dear family," he said, his voice a soothing melody. "I bring a small offering. The Lord laid it on my heart to share, and I thought you might appreciate the warmth of bread and the sweetness of fruits." Sarah felt the warmth of his spirit, instinctively recognizing a divine appointment when it came knocking. She stepped aside, motioning for him to enter. "Thank you. This is so thoughtful of you. Please come in." As he stepped over the threshold, the man surveyed the room, his gaze resting on the flickering candle. "Ah, I see you are gathering your thoughts in prayer." He spoke softly, a knowing smile tugging at his lips. "A beautiful way to strengthen your faith as a family." Emma, ever curious, darted forward. "Look, Mommy, he brought us a feast." She pointed to the basket, her eyes sparkling like gems. "Indeed, it's a gift from the heart," the old man said, selecting a piece of bread and handing it to her. "Let it remind you that God cares for every need, both great and small." Sarah watched as her children eagerly accepted the gift, laughter bubbling up like a joyful hymn. Meanwhile, she felt the weight of the day still heavy on her heart. "Please, tell us your name," she prompted, sharing in the warmth of the moment. "Oh, I'm just a humble servant of the Lord," he replied lightly. "But you can call me Elijah." "Like in the Bible?" Thomas asked, eyes wide with wonder. "Exactly," Elijah chuckled, his laughter mingling with the lightness in the room. That Elijah was a man of extraordinary faith, constantly seeking and trusting the Lord. "What's your story?" Sarah asked, drawn in by his gentle energy. She felt the urge to dig deeper, sensing an undertone of sacred purpose in this unexpected encounter. Elijah's expression turned serious, echoing the weight of history in his tone. "Life is full of trials, my dear," he began. "I once wandered a desert of doubt, waiting for a promise that seemed far too elusive. But when I finally let God into my fears, that's when miracles unfolded." He paused, letting the words sink in like soft rain on parched earth. "What miracles?" Emma asked, leaning closer, her innocent curiosity infectious. "Well, my dear," Elijah spoke, each word bathed in warmth, "I witnessed healings, reconciliations, and even unexpected provisions. The moment I prioritized my relationship with God, everything shifted, in ways I could hardly fathom." Sarah felt her heart ignite with hope, a flame growing brighter with each passing moment. Here was a man who had traversed the depths of desolation, only to rise, testifying to the very transformation that was now unfolding in her own family. "God always shows up," he said, as if reading the thoughts swirling in her mind. "And sometimes it's just a gentle nudge to remind us of his presence." "But how long does it take?" Thomas pressed, his fingers fiddling with the bread. "Ah," Elijah laughed softly, "sometimes it may take only a moment, or it can feel like an eternity. But every day is a new opportunity to believe again. Keep seeking, and you will find." Sarah looked at her children, filled with a flicker of excitement. "What if we prayed right now and invited God into our stories, just like you did?" "Let's do it!" Emma exclaimed, her eyes shining like stars. Elijah nodded approvingly. Yes, prayer is where miracles begin to manifest. As they all joined hands, Sarah felt a rush of anticipation flow through her veins. She could sense that divine presence wrapping around them, urging them forward into unknown futures. But as they began to pray, a sudden gust of wind rattled the window panes, and with it came an unexpected revelation. What other surprises, what divine intersections lay just beyond their prayers? Sarah caught Elijah's gaze, and in that silent exchange they both felt it, the profound mystery that awaited them, the threshold to something truly miraculous. The room grew still, a sacred hush enveloping them as they squeezed each other's hands tighter. The flickering candlelight danced upon their faces, casting an ethereal glow that seemed to further draw them into an intimacy with God. Each heartbeat felt like a resounding drum, calling their spirits together, a reminder of the togetherness their faith demanded. "Dear Lord," Sarah began, her voice steadied by the anticipation coursing through her, "we invite you into our lives in this moment. May our hearts be open to receive your blessings and guidance. Help us to trust in your plans for each of us." As their words melded into a flow of sincere supplication, Elijah's presence felt like the embodiment of the Holy Spirit, breathing life into their prayers. Suddenly, a light gust swept through the room again, and for a fleeting moment, Sarah thought she saw a shadow pass across the walls. Emma gasped. "Mommy, what was that?" "It's just the wind, sweetheart," Sarah reassured her, though part of her wondered. "But it felt different," Emma insisted, her wide eyes reflecting both curiosity and innocence. Elijah maintained his gentle demeanor. "Sometimes, dear ones, God sends us reminders through the whispers of the wind. It's a nudge, a sign of the unseen at work." Thomas shifted, his small hands still clasped tightly in prayer. What if he's telling us something? In that moment, a stillness took hold. The air crackled with electricity, a presence both comforting and powerful. Elijah smiled knowingly, his blue eyes alight with wisdom. The Lord often speaks through the senses, like a soft voice calling us into deeper waters of faith. Stay present, continue to seek. And as they poured out their hearts, they shared their fears, hopes, and dreams. Sarah prayed for her resolve to strengthen in the midst of uncertainty. Thomas prayed for courage as he faced a challenging school year. Emma simply wanted a puppy, an innocent request that somehow felt weighty with love. "Trust in the Lord's timing, my little sprouts," Elijah encouraged. "Remember, each prayer is a seed planted in fertile soil. It may take time to see it grow, but trust that God does not forget His children." Words flowed like a river between them, cleansing doubts and washing away despair. With each petition made, Sarah felt the heaviness in her heart start to lift. Would that heaviness ultimately transform into wings to help her soar? As they finished their prayers, a gentle warmth enveloped them, as if each soul was wrapped in soft silks of divine love. Sarah opened her eyes slowly, taking in the soothing sight of her children, hopeful, radiant, and unafraid. Yet just as peace began to settle, a muffled thump echoed from outside, followed by a soft, melodic sound that made their hearts leap, a child's laughter, bright and joyous, rising like a hymn into the air. "What was that?" Emma squeaked, her eyes wide. Elijah turned toward the door, his expression reflecting both curiosity and excitement. "Ah, my friends, that may be a sign of the sweetness to come, a glimpse into the miracles God has in store for you." A wave of excitement washed over Sarah. What was waiting for them beyond the door? Was this just the beginning of miracles unfolding, or perhaps the start of something far larger? "Shall we find out?" Elijah proposed, his smile inviting. And with a deep breath, Sarah realized they were standing on the precipice of discovery, a divine intersection filled with possibility. What lay beyond that door, promising more than just laughter? What surprises would God reveal next? They could hardly contain their anticipation as they drew closer to the threshold. As they gathered at the door, a sense of wonder surged within the small group. Sarah could feel the anticipation wrap around them like a soft embrace, unfurling the courage that had been dormant in her heart. Elijah placed a gentle hand on the door, pausing for a moment to look at each of their faces, as though assessing their readiness for whatever lay ahead. "Remember," he said with a voice that resonated like an old hymn, "God's miracles often come wrapped in unexpected packages. Open your hearts wide and expect the miraculous." Taking a deep breath, Sarah nodded, her fingers trembling with excitement. They turned the doorknob slowly, and as the door creaked open, a blinding light spilled into the room. It was almost as if the sun itself was spilling forth laughter and joy into their little sanctuary. Peering out, they saw children playing in the golden rays of dusk, laughter mingling with the harmonious songs of birds returning to their nests. The vibrant colors of the autumn leaves had never looked so brilliant, a breathtaking tapestry created by the master artist. Emma dashed forward, captivated by a group of children chasing each other with glee. The feeling of pure joy was infectious, and soon Thomas joined her, his laughter ringing out like a sweet melody. Sarah stayed back for a brief moment to watch them, marveling at how her worries seemed to dissipate amidst the enchantment of the scene. "Look at them, they're so free," she said, turning to Elijah, who stood by her side, his eyes twinkling with understanding. "Yes, dear one," he replied softly, "freedom is found in faith, in letting go of our fears and embracing the light that guides us." Sarah felt her heart soar as she watched Thomas and Emma. Each burst of laughter from them was a prayer of thanksgiving, a reminder of the beauty in simple moments. She joined them, her spirits lifted, feeling the essence of childhood spilling over into her soul. Yet even in that joyous moment, an unsettling thought wandered into her mind. What if this was all a fleeting glimpse? What if the heaviness would come crashing back once the laughter faded? She shook her head, sensing the Spirit nudging her, urging her to release those doubts. "Elijah," she called softly, her voice a mix of fear and hope, What if this is just a moment? What if the struggles return? Elijah turned to her, the sincerity in his gaze wrapping around her like a comforting blanket. Moments of joy do not negate the struggles, my dear. They remind us that even amidst storms, God's light shines. Remember, every prayer you've offered has brought you to this place. These moments are part of His unfolding story. And as he spoke, a soft breeze whispered through the door, carrying the sweet scent of blooming flowers mingled with the laughter of children. It felt like a divine confirmation. Then, amidst the playfulness, a child approached, holding a small, fluffy puppy, its eyes sparkling with mischief and love. "Can I keep him?" the child asked, eyes wide as saucers. "A puppy!" Emma yelped with delight, rushing over, her earlier request now standing before her, a tangible manifestation of her innocent prayer. Elijah chuckled softly, his eyes reflecting the miracle before them. See, dear ones, God often responds to the purest of hearts in delightful ways. As Sarah watched Emma cradle the puppy, tears began to well up in her eyes. Her heart brimmed with gratitude, realizing the beauty in the little things, those small signs that God was indeed listening. Yet a new thought stirred within her. Could this sweet puppy be a marker of more profound changes ahead? What other revelations lay waiting beyond the horizon of their faith? With their hearts open and eyes fixed on the wonders around them, they found themselves teetering on the edge of deeper dividends of faith, a journey that was just beginning. What awaited them beyond their expectations? What more would God unfold in their lives as they embraced His divine message? The sun began to dip lower on the horizon, casting a soft golden hue over the group. Sarah felt a gentle tug at her spirit, drawing her deeper into the wonder of the moment. The laughter of children and the warmth of the fading day wrapped around her, beckoning her to lean in closer to the joy-filled atmosphere. As Emma turned to show off the puppy, Sarah could see the light in her daughter's eyes shining brighter than ever. It struck her how a simple creature could embody such immense joy and hope. Elijah, sensing the magic of the moment, moved toward the children, his heart mirroring their innocence. "Do you see what just happened?" he called out, breaking the moment into shards of revelation. In a world often burdened with worry, God has provided a reminder of His endless love through this little puppy. The children squealed with delight, tucking the small creature close to their chests, filled with carefree wonder. Thomas bounced around the pair with energy that made Sarah's heart light. It became clear, these moments are not just moments. They are invitations to a deeper relationship with God, a chance to experience the miraculous woven into the fabric of daily life. Like this puppy, Elijah continued, crouching down to meet the children's gaze, God gives us the gifts we need, even when we're not aware of them. How wonderful it is to see Him in the unexpected things. A glimmer of clarity sparked within Sarah. Maybe the puppy was not just for Emma, but a token of the invitation for all of them to embrace deeper faith without fear. Each giggle from the children echoed the promise of God's goodness, cutting through her doubts as she took a step closer. They all stood there, a small circle of laughter and love in contrast to the world outside. Yet, even within this joyous sanctuary, shadows of deeper questions lingered. Sarah glanced at Elijah, who seemed to sense her thoughts. "What happens when the laughter fades, Elijah?" she asked, her voice lower now, still brimming with sincerity. "Can we trust that the light doesn't dim alongside our joy?" Elijah smiled gently, the kind of smile that held years of wisdom. "Ah, dear Sarah, joy and faith are intertwined like webs in the wind. They dance together, and though moments may seem fleeting, the foundation is built not on feelings alone, but on truth. God is unchanging." His words painted a path through her uncertainties. Just like the autumn leaves around them that would drop but one day return, so too would her joy be renewed. Suddenly, Emma pulled Sarah from her reverie, bouncing on her toes with excitement. Can we take him home? Please, he'll be our responsibility." The laughter from Emma rekindled Sarah's spirit, sparking hope that flickered brighter. "Yes, I think we can," she answered, knowing it was not just a puppy, but a new chapter in their lives. But beneath the surface, a new stirring began, a beckoning that hinted at even more profound revelations yet to come. What would this puppy mean for their family? What doors might it open? And what deeper encounters with God's presence might be waiting just around the corner? With their hearts now ignited, they stood ready, anticipating the wonders woven within the fabric of their unfolding story. As they turned to walk back inside, a hum of expectation lingered in the air, promising that more miracles lay just ahead. What divine encounters awaited them next? And how might God's presence stretch their faith even further? As the night fell softly around Ashford-on-the-Hill, Sarah's heart brimmed with a symphony of gratitude and anticipation. The warmth of the golden day faded into a cozy evening, and within their home, laughter and love flourished around the newly welcomed puppy. Emma held the little creature close, her eyes wide with joy, while Thomas showered the two with hugs and tender words. "Now he needs a name," Sarah exclaimed, gathering her children together on the living room floor, the flickering candle casting playful shadows on the walls. "What should we call him?" "Hope!" Emma shouted, her small voice bursting with enthusiasm. "Or Miracle," Thomas chimed in, glancing between his sister and Sarah. Both names felt right. They held significance far beyond just a simple label. Sarah's heart fluttered. "We could call him both," she offered, clasping her hands together as a smile broke upon her face. "Little Hope, our miracle." Surrounded by joy, the worries that once burdened her heart felt lighter, like dust shaken from the shelves of their lives. But even amid the celebration, faint whispers of uncertainty strove to creep back in. Questions that loomed like shadows lingered patiently, each one trying to reshape her newfound peace. What would this mean for Thomas's ongoing treatment? What challenges could arise? Suddenly, a tap at the window pulled her from her thoughts. Sarah glanced outside, and in the light of the porch lamp, she saw a group of familiar faces, neighbors and friends, having gathered outside, united by the same thread of hope that now bound her family. "Come join us," called Mrs. Thompson, her voice warm and inviting. "We brought some treats to celebrate your wonderful news." As they opened the door, the energy of camaraderie spilled into their home, like sunlight pouring through the clouds. Each villager, with hopeful expressions, embraced them in a tapestry of faith. The warmth felt almost tangible, like a balm over shared wounds. Elijah stepped forward, his familiar presence grounding everyone. "Tonight, my friends, we celebrate more than Thomas's improved health. We celebrate community, love, and the tender care of God in our lives," he proclaimed, his voice warm and wise. The crowd erupted in joy, laughter intertwining with the reverence that filled the air. Sarah moved amidst them, her heart swelling with appreciation for each person who had walked alongside them in this journey of faith. As the gathered friends began to share stories of their own struggles and miracles, Sarah watched in awe at the collective spirit of prayer, transformation, and joy. It was a living testament to God's presence, evident even within adversity. "Thomas," Elijah said gently, kneeling beside him, "this community stands with you through every step along the way. Your courage inspired us all." Thomas smiled, a mixture of shyness and pride filling his small frame. "I prayed every day, Mr. Elijah, and God listened." "Yes, he did," a chorus of voices chimed in affirmation, and Sarah couldn't help but feel tears gather in her eyes. She felt a surge of purpose wash over her, knitting her heart closer to her family and neighbors. In that moment, she realized that the true miracle was unfolding right there, a living tapestry of faith, gathered in mutual love and support. With wine glasses raised and children laughing, Sarah looked around, soaking in the beauty,
To shared faith, may we always lift each other.
Up! She raised her glass, and soon the village erupted in cheers. But beneath the surface of each joyous laugh lingered threads of anticipation. Would the trials still come? Would faith be tested anew? Yet, as whispers of doubt threatened to bubble up, a reassuring peace settled in. They had learned to meet their uncertainties with prayer, transforming shadows into stepping stones of hope. As the evening wove on with stories shared and laughter sweetened, Sarah's spirit soared. She clasped her children tighter, realizing that despite life's unpredictability, God's love would remain unwavering, an anchor through any storm. And just when Sarah felt the highest point of joy surge, the door swung wide again, revealing a figure cloaked in dusk. The dark silhouette became warm light, revealing the village doctor, Dr. Hamilton. "Sarah," he called, his voice carrying both urgency and joy. "I wanted to share the latest news right away. Thomas's recent tests showed incredible improvement. We can further reduce medication, and with continued prayers, your faith has truly played a part in this miraculous turnaround." Palpable silence washed over the space, a testament to their journey. The room erupted into applause, exclamations of awe and praise for God's work mashed together like children's laughter. "God is amazing! Look at Thomas! Look at our miracle!" Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks at the beauty of it all. "Thank you, Lord. Thank you for this family, for this community, and for the miracles we sometimes overlook." In that moment, she knew this was not just an ending, but a beautiful beginning. As voices swirled into a chorus of thankfulness, every heart beat in rhythm with new faith. What awaited them would be revealed in God's perfect timing. And as they clutched each other closely, Sarah felt a divine presence wrapping around them all like a warm embrace, whispering through the laughter. Adventures and simple moments of everyday life. This was just the beginning. Their faith would continue to usher in extraordinary miracles yet unseen. You need to subscribe now for more exclusive faith stories that uplift your spirit. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and share the abundance of hope. Comment below your reactions and testimonies about this heartwarming ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this miraculous manifestation. Every action you take spreads the light of faith.